Praise the Lord. We are just about ready to begin teaching the Word of God. Let me see if I can get Facebook going here.
Recording. Record close button. Switch cameras. Camera flash off. More options.
Just 1 minute and we'll be good to go with Facebook.
Open format. Choose private. Start live video button.
There we go.
Start live video. Cancel button.
All right. I want to welcome everybody to Bible Talk. I'm doing something new today. I am not using my so-called professional cameras tonight. I'm using 3 different phones. I have an iPhone on Facebook and an iPhone on YouTube and an iPhone on Periscope. So here we are. What I should have done, I should have connected up a microphone, at least to YouTube for some good audio and Periscope. But here we are. This is Percy Wilson Garrett in the great state of Alabama, the city of Dothan. And as I always say, Alabama is in the Bible Belt. And Dothan is a biblically named city. Joseph's 3 brothers, when he was looking for them, said, let us go to Dothan. And the scripture says that Elijah the prophet, resided in Dothan. So in Alabama, we named this city Dothan. And we have a plaque downtown with that inscription on it. Let us go to Dothan. And I'm here to tell you, most people that come to Dothan never leave. They love it just that much. Dothan is a great city to live in. Very economical, and the people are just so friendly. They love the Lord and they love one another. You know, that's the biblical mandate that Christ left his disciples. He said, love ye one another as I have loved you and gave myself for you. Let me turn this noise down here. As I have loved you. In other words, be willing to give up your life for one another. And that's the biblical mandate. That's how much we should love one another. Always having the other person's best interest at heart. Tonight we have a topic that's of interest to many around the world, and especially in America. Been that way for a long time. I had an encounter, about 20 years ago, right here in the city of Dothan. A good friend of mine. And when I say he is a good friend of mine, he is. He said to me, Percy, I don't believe that blacks and whites should get married. He said, I'm not prejudiced. I just don't think that blacks and whites should get married. I said, why do you think that? And I won't give you his name if I don't accidentally spill it out. But he said, I just don't believe that they should get married. And I would never allow my daughter to marry a black man. I said, man, you are a rapist. not a rapist. I say that. That came from nowhere. Call a man a rapist. I meant racist. You are prejudiced. He said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. But you know what? People do change. And we have to allow for that. We must allow for people to change. And years later, he came to me and he said, Person, my granddaughter got pregnant. And she brought the baby's daddy home with her. He said, I love my grandbaby, but even though it's not born yet, I love my grandbaby. But I did not like the daddy. And he said, several months later, she had the baby. And my grandbaby was black, not white. And he went on to say he loved his grandbaby, even though it was black. And pretty soon, the granddaughter brought the baby's daddy home. He said he loved the baby's daddy. Welcome, Josh. So this man had changed. He had changed. He had said in his heart that blacks and whites should never marry. But now with this new grandbaby and this new baby's daddy being a young black man, he loved the baby and loved the baby's daddy. That was a good outcome. That was a fantastic, godly outcome. And I see a lot of that right now when I go to the malls and to Walmart and places like that. When I go out to the restaurants, you find a lot of blended families. And that's a wonderful thing. These young people are changing the world. Welcome, Steadfast. The young people are changing the world, and that's the way it should be. I remember years ago, I never thought that I had racism in my own family. I didn't think that we had prejudice in the Garrett family. I didn't think that until I joined the Marine Corps, and I was about to go off to war. As my days drew near to go to war, my loving mother, who I love to the bottom of my heart, she said, I love you, Percy. I don't want you to go, but you have to go. But whatever you do, don't bring anybody back over here, no woman back over here, if their eyes are not like ours. If their eyes are not shaped like our eyes, don't bring her back over to America. And keep in mind now, I went to a lot of countries. I traveled the world. I went to Hawaii, which is not a country, but it's a long ways from America. America's shore, about 1,500 miles, maybe 2,500 miles from America's shores. Philippines, beautiful, beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful women. Haiti, beautiful country and beautiful women. Cuba, beautiful country and beautiful women. Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, it was so wonderful there. London, England, Portsmouth, England, beautiful. Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, Australia, all those beautiful countries and all those beautiful women. Here I am, a young man, and Mama said, don't bring her back home. Now, I did kind of fall in love with a Hawaiian girl back in the day, but I couldn't bring her home. I mean, she had those different kind of eyes. And I love those eyes. But Mama said, don't bring her home. Don't bring her home when she had those different kind of eyes and that different kind of hair. And you know the Hawaiian girls had that hair all black and it hung all down their back. I got a sister who had red hair. And all three of my sisters got the same kind of eyes. They have different color eyes, but they have eyes just like mine. So, I never could bring back a woman from overseas that's not from America, because Mama said don't bring her. Now, later on, Mama changed her mind too, because it looked like I was dragging my feet to find a wife. Pretty soon, she started saying, whoever you find will be okay with me. I said, thank you, Mama. But was it wrong for me to even think about marrying someone outside of my race? That's the question tonight. Is it biblically wrong for me to even consider marrying somebody outside of the African American race? Biblically speaking. Think about that. I remember having Bible study at our church house one Wednesday night. And all of a sudden, we had this overflow crowd that came into the building. It came into the Bible study. And I always allowed for question and answers. And they began to ask me, Pastor Garrett, is it wrong for blacks and whites to intermarry? I said, it depends. It depends. And why do you ask the question? They said we just left a tent revival. And the evangelist who gave the sermon wasn't to the Periscope for your first time. They said that the evangelist stated that it was a sin against God for blacks and whites to intermarry. So we had to have another session that night to teach them what God said about intermarriage with other races. Now God did say in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, you see it for yourself, do not be unevenly yoked. And I'll stop right there just for a minute because I don't want to give away the sermon. Now, the first case
It's half past the hour.
of someone having a problem with interracial marriage was in Numbers chapter 12. When Moses married the Ethiopian woman. Well, Miriam and Aaron had a problem with it. Moses' own family had a problem with him marrying that black woman. Shameful thing. Moses, a Jew, marrying someone outside of his race. Now, keep in mind, there was no biblical prohibition against interracial marriages until the law at Mount Sinai. So I believe that Moses perhaps married this woman prior to God giving that prohibition against marrying outside of the Jewish race. So when Miriam and Aaron approached Moses in Numbers chapter 12, beginning at verse 1, you see that they were upset about Moses marrying this black woman. Keep in mind. I'm not sure how white Moses was. I'm not sure if he was white or not. I don't know. I really don't know what color the Jewish race was during those days. But Miriam was upset with that, and Aaron. She induced Aaron to be upset also, and they approached Moses and asked Moses the question: does God speak to Moses only? Does God speak to you only, Moses? Miriam is saying to Moses, listen, I am a prophetess. And Aaron is the high priest. We have some say-so over who you marry. And you married the wrong woman. You should have married within your family. You should have married a Jew. You should have married an Israelite. Well, God was looking at this, and God was listening to this. The scripture says that God was in the cloud that followed them around, that led them around. A pillar of fire by night to lead them in the dark, and a cloud by day to lead them in the day and to give them shade. That was God in that cloud. And God it left that cloud and came down and stood at the tent of meeting, the tent called the tabernacle, and called for Aaron and Miriam. Can you imagine that? God calling you to himself? The same way he called Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve hid from God. Can you imagine? God calling you, calling your name, and he's angry. And God called Miriam and Aaron and said, don't you know that I speak to men who are prophets in visions and dreams? Don't you know that Moses, my servant Moses, is the meekest man in the world? And I speak to him face to face. And you didn't have any kind of fear of approaching him disrespectfully as you did? And God left him and went back up into the cloud. And the Bible says that Miriam turned white. Hello, Mama Moses. We're talking about intermarriage with whites and blacks and other colors. Is it biblically wrong or is it biblically right? But God turned Miriam white by giving her leprosy. Turned her white for 7 days. Which means that she had to live for 7 days outside of the camp of Israel. But I think she learned her lesson because God taught her. God created man and woman equally. Now, I don't know what color the race was when God first created us. All I know is that he said he created us in his image. I don't know what color Adam was. Some folks said the dirt was red or the dirt was dark. I don't know that. I don't know that because the dirt was changed when God cursed the world. It was not the same. Couldn't have been the same because it was cursed. And not only that, we had a universal flood during the time of Noah. And everything changed. And by the way, the whole human race came from Noah and his 3 sons after the flood. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we know that Japheth produced the Caucasian, the Anglo race. And they settled in the northern part of the world. Norway, the European countries. And the Jews came out of Shem, the Shemites. Some of the Arabs came out of Shem. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And guess where I came from? I came from Ham. I am a descendant of Ham. And all the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Gergesites, the Sodomites, all those people were descendants of Ham. Those were my cousins. Because they came from Ham. Remember that Canaan was Ham's son, Noah's grandson. And he settled in the land of Canaan. Today they call it the land of Israel or Palestine. Those were our cousins. Now, the Jews started ensuring that they kept their race pure because it almost became a law for them to do that. I remember that God did not want Israel to intermingle with other races or nations because he wanted their religion to remain pure. He didn't want them to serve any other God but him. It's kind of funny because Jacob went to his uncle's house to find a wife. And he found two wives. He found Leah and Rachel. He loved Rachel. And the Bible says that Leah made his eyes hurt. I don't know why, but they said Leah made his eyes hurt. But Rachel he loved. But when he got ready to go, now keep in mind now, he should have been marrying somebody within this race with the same religion. And it seemed like that Rachel and Leah were in his own family line, so she should have been of the same religion. But something funny happened when Jacob left Laban's house with his two wives. Laban became upset. Rachel's daddy and Leah's daddy chased after them and hunted them down. And when he got there, he wanted to know, why did you leave without telling me? Number one, Jacob was afraid that he would try to take his children and his wives. But at the same time, Laban said, somebody stole my God. Isn't that something? Somebody stole his God. Somebody stole his God. What kind of God is that? That cannot be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a God you can steal. But he said somebody did. So Jacob said, okay, I didn't take your God. I'm laughing because who can take a God? But he went searching for his God in the camp of Jacob. Going from tent to tent, looking for his God. What kind of God is he looking for? You know, David said to God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, my God and your God, I want to build you a house. I want to build you a house. And the Lord looked at David and said, David, you can't build my house because you're a man of blood, number one. And well, that's number two. Number one is, heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will you fit me in? What house will you build for me? I tell you what, David, I'll build your house. But you ain't big enough, and the earth ain't big enough to hold me. The universe is not big enough to hold me. But here is Laban looking for his God. And when he came to Rachel, Rachel said, oh, Father, it's the time of the month for me. And I can't get up. And the Bible says she was sitting on Laban's God. Isn't that something? I don't want a God that I can sit on. I don't want a God that somebody sits on. I want a God who I can lean on and trust in and depend on. You can't depend on a God who somebody can steal. But the point here is, Jacob had married a woman who was a pagan God worshiper, a heathen God worshiper who was no God at all. What kind of God can you take and sit on? Sunset over buildings, pictorial cards. What does that mean, my Moses? Hello, 1975. But the deal is that at this time, in Jacob's life, he was unequally yoked with an unbeliever. Thank God for his mercy and his grace. Otherwise, Jacob would have been in trouble. I think in due time, he brought about a change in the life of Rachel and Leah. And they began to follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Sometimes that's not the case. Most of the time, that is not the case. When you marry a person who is not a Christian, it sometimes leads you astray. When you marry a person who is not following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they often lead you astray. That's why God told David and all the kings not to multiply wives. And the wisest man in the world went against God's word. David's son, Solomon, had 1,000 wives and concubines. What a shame. Now, he may have had a good time with all those women. But 1 Kings 14 tells us that all those wives did something to Solomon in his old age. When he became an old man, not able to exercise his wisdom as he used to before he became old, they turned his heart towards those false gods. Chemosh, Molech, Baal, all those so-called gods Solomon had started worshiping because of his young wives. It's amazing what a woman will make you do. That's how much power a woman has over a man, and he was the wisest man in the world. And he married all these non-Jewish women, Egyptian women, Canaanite women, women from all over the world who had no idea who the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was. They didn't know El Shaddai, the many-breasted God, the God who provides. They didn't know the great I Am. They didn't know Jehovah Jireh. They didn't know God. All they knew was Baal, the no God. All they knew was Chemosh, the no God. All they knew was Molech, the no God. And the Queen of Heaven, the no God. And he turned Solomon's heart away from the true God. And he began to follow those false gods and began to build altars. And that angered God. And that's why God pushed Jeroboam to tear the kingdoms apart. To tear the kingdom apart. God gave Jeroboam 10 kingdoms to take to the northern part of Israel. And left only one with Judah and Rehoboam. Because Solomon became mingled with an unbeliever. Hello, missionary. Solomon went into marriages with women who were not equally yoked with him. And it cost him dear. It cost him his fellowship with God. We are told in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, to not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. And that's the only rule for Christian marriage when it comes to races. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. It doesn't matter if you marry a Japanese Christian, if you're black. It doesn't matter if you marry a white Christian, if you're black. It doesn't matter if you marry an Indonesian Christian if you're black or Kenyan. Doesn't matter. As long as they are Christians who believe the same way that you do, who believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Because if you marry outside of your religion, you're asking for trouble. In this country, a lot of young black and white women are married Muslims. That's a different religion, y'all. You're right, Mama Moses. Rachel was just like her daddy, a pagan, heathenistic worshiper. And we believe that that Jacob was strong enough by the power of God to bring her into the right religion where she began to worship Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But that doesn't always happen. But look at what happened to Solomon. All these women turned Solomon's heart away from his God. And he began to worship the false god. And in America, a lot of times a woman would not just marry someone from another religion, but she'll marry somebody who has no religion. And that's just as bad. So Paul says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what has light to do with darkness? Here you are walking in the light as Christ is in the light, and the person you're married to is walking in darkness. Well, okay, official missionary, I will subscribe to your YouTube. Listen, if you are unevenly yoked to an unbeliever, they don't want you to go to the church house and serve God's people. They don't want you to go to the church house and give your money to help with missions. They don't want you to go to the church house to help serve the homeless and the poor. I remember myself, prior to me becoming a Christian, I had a girlfriend at that time. I was living in North Carolina. She got saved. And she was going to church. And I was not saved. I was a crook. I was crazy. I was unevenly yoked with this woman. And I would tell her, don't take my money to give it to that preacher. That's what we say when we are unsaved and unevenly yoked. And then we'll accuse the preacher of doing something to her. Why are you going to that church? What is he doing to you down there? Because we don't believe in God. We don't feel God. We don't trust the preacher. That's true. If you don't trust God, you will not trust a pastor. You just won't do it. I've been there. I know. Even though I went to church sometime, I still didn't trust the preacher because I was not saved. And if I had married one of those women in those churches that I attended, we would have been unevenly yoked. And they should have married me. If they're Christian, they should know not to marry an unbeliever, even if they are of the same race. I remember when I was a Christian, thank you, missionary, when I was in Hawaii, a young Marine. I had a beautiful Hawaiian girlfriend. And I got saved. I became a Christian. And I went to my pastor. I said, Pastor, you met my girlfriend. I became a Christian and she didn't. I need to make a decision. I need your help. What should I do? The pastor said, well, Brother Person, we got two options. You can keep her and hope she become saved. I let her go. I knew that I had to let her go because she was not saved. And one of the things that a saved person wants in life is to have their so-called needs and desires met. That's a temptation. That's a temptation. So I decided to let her go. It was a decision that I had to make. And it was not as tough as I thought it was going to be. But I made that decision, and I have not ever regretted that decision. I don't know what she's doing now. I don't know if she's ever became a Christian. Just don't know. I lost contact with her. But if I had stayed with her and married her, I would have been unevenly yoked with an unbeliever. How can two walk together, said God to Amos, lest they agree? God said that through Amos, the prophet. What has God to do with Belial, with the devil? I mean, we should not fellowship with the devil. But, we talk about that in marriage. But we're not, but the scripture is not just referring to marriage. That's any part of your life. There are some businesses that Christians should not be involved in if unbelievers are doing the wrong things in those businesses. And there's a list of things that I can bring up, such as buying a piece of property and allowing it to be a house of ill repute. Buying a piece of property together with an unbeliever. Buying a gambling hall where it's not legal with an unbeliever. Whatever you do it all to the honor and the glory of God, and the unbeliever is not thinking that way. Neither can he think that way. The truth about the matter is this, though. When it comes to a marriage, and I counsel folks this way. It doesn't matter who you marry. Black, white, yellow, or brown. I tell our church members this. Because it's hard in this country, especially for black women, to find a husband. It doesn't matter who you marry, as long as they are Christians. Many of our men in our community are on drugs, homosexuals, in prison. So it's hard to find a husband for a young black woman. They don't work, they don't have jobs, many of them. And I'm not putting a blanket of all young black men. There are some very fine young black men. But they are snatched up quickly. I mean, women are wise when they want to be. They watch these young men. And if they seem to be productive, citizen, Christian, honorable men, they snatch them up. And after a while, in your community, there's none left to marry. Then you get desperate. And you marry the first thing that comes along. That's not good. And you take them to the pastor. And he said, Pastor, I found my man. I just love him so much. Oh, you do? Yes, sir. He's the man. I mean, he makes my heart flip a beat. He makes my heart flutter, Pastor. It's about being unequally yoked, but it's not by race, 629. God has given us freedom to marry any person we want to, no matter what the race is. Listen, if you're single If you black or white or red or brown, it does not matter. It doesn't matter what country they're from. They could be German. They could be Kenyan. They could be Japanese, Philippine. It doesn't matter. Bangladesh. It does not matter. But make sure that they're Christian, if you are a Christian. God said not to marry outside of your Christian religion. But if they're in your Christian religion, it does not matter as long as you love them. Let me ask you a question. What is love? What is love? How do you know you love somebody? I know what Madonna said. Madonna said, now, what have you done for me lately? Love is what you do for me. And one person said, love is a 5-letter word. Money. But what is love? Biblically speaking, love is this. Love is always looking at another person and seeing the needs in their lives. Willing and wanting to fulfill their needs and desires. Always having their best interest at heart, not your own. You know how it is when you're young and dumb and you meet somebody and you take them to the pastor and you tell the pastor, I want to get married to her. And pastor say, why do you want to marry her? He said, oh, pastor, she makes me feel good. She makes my skin tremble. Oh, Lord, she makes me feel good, pastor. I mean, she's 36, 24, 36. She's fine, pastor. Look at her. I just love her hair. I just love the way she makes me feel. She's just so intelligent. I love her, pastor. She is the one for me. 54 just joined. Hello, 54. She's the one for me, pastor. And you ask her, why you want to marry this man? Oh, pastor, look at it.
It's the top of the hour.
Look at his teeth, pastor. His teeth are like a flock of sheep. They're smooth and clean and even. And his breath smells good. And he dresses well, got a nice car, and a nice house, and a good job. And it makes me feel good. When I walk, I skip. Because I love him. Those things don't constitute love, y'all. Those things that both of those people said do not constitute love. They may be desperate, but it's not love. It's self-love. Love is always looking at the other person with a heart bent on meeting their needs. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to find much love in the world today. It's there, but you got to find it. It's a precious pearl. But Christ said, because sin shall increase, because iniquity shall increase, the love of many shall wax cold. So you got to be careful about who you marry. But if you are thinking about marrying somebody, try to find somebody whose needs you can meet. That's where it used to be, Mama Moses. Men and women used to look for people whose needs that they could meet. A woman used to look for a man who would love her cooking. A woman used to look for a man who would love her housekeeping. A woman used to look for a man who would love how she made herself up to look good for him. Woman used to look for a man who would love her for how she served him. A man used to look for a woman that he could work hard for. When I was in Camp Pendleton, California, Oceanside, California. I used to watch the young Marines as they travel from home to the camp, to the base, in their cars. And you could tell the young Marine who loved their wives because they were heading toward the camp with a big smile on their faces because they loved their wives and they were going to the camp to provide for their wives. They were happy to be going to work, to take care of their wives. They wanted to serve not only their country, but their wives. They wanted to meet the needs of their brides. Anyway, it doesn't matter what color you marry. Black, white, yellow, brown, they're all precious in His sight. So it doesn't matter. God loves the little children of the world. So God loved all of His people. We all came from Adam. We all have the same blood. We all came from Noah and his 3 sons. Well, it doesn't matter what race you marry from, as long as you love one another. Like I said, I have been pretty much around the world. I cannot count the countries I've been in. I can never count the cities that I've been in. And people are the same. The languages may be different, but people are the same. The main thing to do is make sure that you're ready. And make sure that you have something to give. Because it's about giving of yourself. When you are talking about marriage, it's talking about a mutual exchange of giving. One pastor asked a question as we're about to close. He asked this question to his congregation. Since you have been married, is your life better or worse? Since you've been married. Is your life better or worse? It should be better. Because 2 are better than 1. I'd rather marry somebody that's poor, with bad language, no schooling, who I can meet their needs and desires, and they are happy and satisfied and willing to reciprocate, to give back. Then to marry somebody who was fine as wine, as beautiful as Cleopatra, got more money than Donald Trump. I'd rather marry that poor woman who would love me and appreciate me. And that's all we need. That's all I want, is someone to love, and someone who would appreciate me, and someone who I can love and appreciate that person. That makes a happy marriage, y'all. That makes a happy marriage. And listen, it wouldn't bother me what race she was. And the black race, we need to wake up. Look around you. There are a lot of men in the world. I say the world because nowadays you don't have to look in your town or your city. The internet has opened it up. You just got to be careful. You got to be careful how you do this internet dating thing. You got to be wise. You got to make sure that you do it in a godly way. And make sure that you are equally yoked. Make sure that whoever you are dating is a Christian. And this is what I know. This is what I know. you can date someone in your local community and be fooled if you're not wise. Every Christian should know God's word enough to know whether or not they're dating a good, strong Christian. Someone who loves them. Someone whom they can love. I'm going to shut down. I want to thank all of you for coming in. I'm doing something different tonight. I normally use my Mevo cameras, and they're back over on the wall. I have 3 of those, and they are controlled by my phone apps. But I decided to use just my phone tonight. I got one phone to my left on Periscope, and one phone in front of me on Facebook, and one phone to my right on YouTube. They're on stand. I'll show you what kind of stand. No, I can't do that. Well, I can kind of show you the one that's on Facebook. Now, this is a tabletop stand here. I'm going to bring it to the front so you can see it. And I don't want to pull the cable loose here. I take the cable out, the charging cable. There's a charging cable in there that I'm pulling out. So this right here is my iPhone. Let's see, what's the iPhone 10? And I was using it on Facebook. I hope I had it focused. Now this is the tape SV join. Welcome SV. But this is my camera for Facebook, and the one behind it to the right is on YouTube. And those of you who are on Facebook, you can see the camera that I'm using on Periscope. It's on a floor stand, and this is a quick setup. I didn't have a lot of time to get it together when I changed my mind about using my Mevo apps on my phone. But anyway, I have 3 Mevo cameras over against the wall. And I decided to use my phone tonight. I hope it worked out okay. Mama Moses, I thank you once again for coming in. And I know that Wonder VIP Lounge Club is probably here. And Virginia Gray in Atlanta, Georgia. Now Virginia, Mama Moses, is having a Black History program on the 14th. Okay. But she's going to be showing a movie. And that movie, what's the name of that movie? Virginia, if you're there, type the name of the movie on the screen. It's an old movie. It's an old black and white movie. Don't it? Somebody help me to remember the name of this movie. It's about this young black girl, I think was raised by a white family. I can't remember. But it's going to be a good movie. The Lord God, He is good, and His mercy endures forever, even unto Percy Wilson Garrett. I want to welcome you all back next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time on Bible Talk. Now, there are times when I do come on other than Sundays. But I think Twitter will let you know when that happens. In my summary, if you are wondering about interracial marriage, God said that the man who finds a wife finds a good thing. He didn't give a stipulation. He didn't give a stipulation on what race. Because God is the God of the human race. He said that the marriage, that marriage is honorable in all. The marriage bed undefiled. So it doesn't matter who you marry, as long as they are Christians. They have to be Christian because you are God's temple. You, the Christian, is God's temple. The temple is no longer a brick and mortar house. You're the temple. And you don't want Satan or Satan people to interact with you since you're God's temple. God does not want you to be unevenly yoked. He wants you to be happy, but he doesn't want you to be unevenly yoked with unbelievers, because when you bring an unequally yoked person into your space, you desecrate the temple. You defile the temple. God walks among his temple. God lives in you. Don't defile the temple. And that's the way you think about that. That's the way you look at that. Find somebody to love, but make sure that they love God. Make sure that they love Jesus Christ. All right, we're going to start, but thank you once again for being here. May God bless you and keep you and give you his everlasting grace and peace. I'm going to get up and go around and turn off all these phones, all these cameras. And at the same time, I'm going to give you the benediction. Jude said these words. Now unto him
10,
who is able
15, 20.
to keep you from falling.
Demetrius Bennett, Willis Garrett.
Hello, Demetrius Bennett and Willis Garrett. Well, glad y'all came in. Willis Garrett is my nephew.
9 to 10 of 10.
That's my brother's son on Facebook.
Try another way of going live during your broadcast. 30, 25.
Hello, Stephen 21 on Facebook.
20. Try another way of going live during your broadcast. 15, 10. Top of screen.
All right.
Recording.
Okay, Periscope, I'm going to turn it off over here. God bless y'all. Thanks for being here. I'm going to take the phone off of the stand, so it's going to be a little bit shaky. All right, here we go. You're there, Miss Sharon Kennedy in Little Rock, Arkansas? Glad you're there, Miss Sharon. God bless you. Hope you're doing well. Hope your headache, your coughing has stopped and your other ailment is doing well. You're looking good, Miss Sharon. Let's see, Amber 1414 in there. Deacon 21. 11,210. That's your quarter of 3.
It's a quarter past the hour.
Amber 1414. I'm just picking everybody. 11,210. Oh boy. HB5. Cocaine. Oh boy. I hope you're not doing cocaine today. Hope the Lord has blessed you so you won't need cocaine. There is a high. And it's called being high on Jesus. Being high on the Holy Spirit. Let me see who else is in here. And to our 54, glad you're here today. WMS. Let me see what that. Oh yeah, it's about being unequally yoked. And Christians need to be quite sure that they are equally yoked to another believer when they are engaged in marriage. God bless you too, official missionary. Okay, that's some other names, but I'm gonna go 59, 30. I'm gonna hit the close button. So good night, everybody.